thank you so much for watching Elijeko TV. I'm here with Joanne, and we had an audience come up with a question that he's been worried things are really not going well for him because of COVID. He's lost his job, he's lost a fiancée, and he's getting evicted from his home. Just things are very, very tough. So we have Joanne here today just to talk about how to deal with depression, anxiety, and just mental health, with this COVID time. So Joanne, go ahead, please.
Oh yes, sure. Thank you for having me. My experience with COVID here stateside has been that most people are responding that way with depression, anxiety. There's a perceived sense of loss that a lot of people are experiencing, whether or not, with the caller, the person that asked the question, that things are really not going well. And so a lot of times what we think about when there's such uncertainty in the world is really focusing on kind of right now, the here and now. Sometimes we call that mindfulness, right? Being in the moment. What things do I have? So it's kind of a two-step intervention. The first thing is, stay in the moment. Don't get out in the future about what could happen, what might happen, and all those catastrophic thoughts. The other side of the intervention is really trying to think about gratitude and what I have now that is going to help me get through this. Because when we look back, it's very easy to see the things that we feel we're losing and forget the things that we have. So remembering that one of the things with anxiety is a lot of anticipation about what might happen, fear about the future. And so trying to keep yourself in a place where you can problem solve in the moment for what the day brings versus getting out into the future months, weeks, years later tends to be what we're advising people to do.
Okay. So individually, in my case, what can I do? Being grateful. What other things can I do just to make myself feel better?
Yeah. So anything that is your coping to self-soothe, that keeps you in the moment, and things that you appreciate, whether that's focusing on your own self-care, keeping up with your hygiene, staying away from things like too much alcohol or substances, and remembering that when we're under stress, our body sometimes pulls us to get relief, and remembering to tell yourself that you can cope with it. It's really hard, and every day that you go through it, you're getting a little bit stronger. So seeing it as moving towards an outcome that's going to be effective versus kind of getting bogged down in everyday's stress.
But alcohol makes me feel better.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the role alcohol has for a lot of people. So what we know is that when you mix alcohol with some intense emotions, whether it's anxiety or depression, it can create a situation where you're overindulging. And so that kind of keeping moderation when it comes to any substance use, especially alcohol, and if you have a change in your employment status or relationship status, that may be a real kind of opportunity for you to overindulge in substances.
Okay, that's very good. So what about somebody who doesn't know what anxiety is or depression is? How do I know I have it?
Yeah, so depression and anxiety, sometimes we think about those as emotional things, but they can also be thoughts. So keeping an eye on what you're thinking. Are your thoughts repeating themselves every day? Are your thoughts getting down the path of things aren't ever going to get better? Are you starting to view things as either all good or all bad? Or like I mentioned before, feeling like things are catastrophic, that you can't, that they're only going to get worse. So trying to keep an eye not only on how you feel emotionally, but what your thinking looks like, and then keeping an eye out for signs of exhaustion, fatigue, that may manifest in being overly tired, body aches and weakness and things like that. So before we can do anything, we've got to take good care of ourselves so that we're able to move on from the stressors that are going on day to day.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Joanne. Is there any last minute thing you want to tell our viewers in Africa and around the world?
Thank you for having me, and I hope you guys are staying strong and staying safe, and I think we're going to be through this before we know it.
All right, thank you so much.